Good afternoon, everyone. That we will sit down and act a bipartisan devastating people all throughout America. That will cause per year. And withhold this is on top of the fact to Medicaid.
Find out where she got that number. It's $8 billion to cover SNAP dollars. Is that right, Angie?
Right.
Angie knows these numbers by heart. She's now talking about 9.2. False. And that there is no, they have, with the snap of a finger, that money can be released and get to people who need it. So if there's between $5 and $6 billion, we may be $2 billion short, but that's enough to get us into November until what we're doing, and then we can look to deal with the rest of it. The Trump administration is more than happy to cut backroom deals. They want to dole favors out to the highest bidders. It's a shame that 16 million children who rely on SNAP benefits did not shell out a hefty donation to the president's inaugural fund. But they're only kids, after all. House Republicans are still on vacation. We have not voted on any legislation in over a month. But if they were here, I doubt that they would object to the president's decision, not just because they are too cowardly to stand up to him under any circumstances, but because decimating food stamps, its food stamps, is what they have wanted all along. Their big, beautiful bill, as the leader has pointed out, and his signature piece of legislation, slashes SNAP funding by $189 billion. That will strip 22 million Americans of some or all of their nutrition assistance over 10 years. Let me just conclude by saying to you that does anybody believe there is a shortage of food in the United States of America? Anyone who believes that? No. We have an abundance of food here in this country. And the president is required by law to use the remaining money in the contingency fund that Congress appropriated. It's not up for debate. He has the broad authority to transfer funds beyond that to cover the program. If he does not do so, it is because he chooses to not do it. It may be because they don't care about feeding hungry families. I don't deal with food insecurity as a phrase. This is about hungry people. People going hungry in the United States when we have an abundance of food in this country. This is not a game. It's people's lives. We're the wealthiest nation in the world, as I said, with the abundance of food. And no one, not an adult, not a child, not a senior, not a veteran, should go hungry in the United States. Under President Trump and Republicans' failed leadership, it is just one crisis after another. Open enrollment for health insurance begins in 4 days. They have not addressed the health care crisis they created. President Trump and the Republicans should return to Washington. End the shutdown. Vacation is over. We are here, we are working, and we are ready whenever they decide to join us. Let me turn it over now to the really indefatigable and will be chair of the not appropriations, of the Authorization Committee, Angie Craig from Minnesota.
Well, thank you so much, Rosa, and thank you, Leader Jeffries. We are here today because President Trump and Secretary Brooke Rollins have chosen to take food away from 42 million Americans. Instead of coming to the table and working with Democrats to find a way to protect Americans from losing their health care, their health insurance premiums increasing dramatically, or both, the Trump administration has chosen to use the security of food in our country as a bargaining chip in a government shutdown. The president can't even be bothered to be in the country while Americans line up at food shelves across our nation. 440,000 Minnesotans alone need access to the SNAP program. The Trump administration has the appropriated funds and legal authority to fully fund SNAP in November, plain and simple. They are refusing to follow the law, and they are cutting food assistance when there are ample funds available, over $5 billion in the SNAP contingency fund, and they have the legal statutory transfer authority to fund the rest. If the president wanted to help feed hungry Americans, he would. He's shown us that. He does whatever the hell he wants to, whether it's legal or not. This is not only legal, but it is the right thing to do. But his actions have shown a callous disregard for America's seniors, veterans, and families with children. Earlier this year, he canceled food orders to food banks, stopping $500 million worth of food from reaching people in need. Food that our family farmers across this nation have grown. Food that they counted on being able to sell to the nation's food banks. The Republicans' one and only priority this Congress has been the big ugly bill, which not only cut health care by $1 trillion, but also cut SNAP by $186 billion, a frontal assault on our most effective basic need food assistance program to help vulnerable members of our community who rely on it to keep food on the table. Now the administration is taking food away from 16 million children, 8 million seniors, and 1.2 million veterans. Their hands are not tied. Their hands are not tied. The law is clear. The law is as clear as this administration's cruelty is as clear. The law is as unambiguous as congressional Republicans' desire to let the ACA tax credits expire. It is unconscionable. It is egregious, and it is illegal. I'm calling on the president to do the right thing and the moral thing, which coincidentally offers him a chance to do something he rarely does, which is follow the law. I'm calling on my Republican colleagues to speak up to your friends in this administration and at the USDA and deliver a simple message. They have the money and the authority to fund SNAP. Hungry Americans are not poker chips. Their health and well-being are not to be gambled with. And I so appreciate the attorneys generals from across this nation, including my own Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, for standing up to this administration earlier today. Stop playing politics with America's hungry children, veterans, the disabled, seniors. Get back to the negotiating table. Open up the government and fund SNAP in November. Thank you.
Connecticut joined that suit too, so excited to be with you.
We're going to do on-topic questions first around the shutdown, SNAP, and health care.
My question is for Congresswoman DeLauro on the shutdown. The Speaker said that throughout the shutdown the last month or so that appropriators have still continued to work on the 12 appropriations bills. Can you talk about what that work has looked like as lawmakers have been off the Hill? How have your members been able to engage with Republican appropriators in both the House and Senate?
Sure. When the four of us sat down, Congressman Cole, Senators Murray and Collins and myself, it's really now over a month ago, and we came together and we talked about two or three things. One of them was that what we needed to do was to have the top lines for the agriculture, interior, and the military construction bill. The second thing, and we agreed that we would do that, so we had a number to work to. The second thing was that we would do a bipartisan continuing resolution. A bipartisan continuing resolution. And that would include two things. One of which was to take into consider Democratic priorities, because all of the bills that we had seen were just unilaterally partisan. And amongst those Democratic priorities was the issue of health care and the premium subsidies and the Medicaid cuts. It's $1 trillion and the skyrocketing costs that are now upon people at this very, very moment. And the other thing that we spoke about, and there was a consensus about this, that what we needed to do was in the future, when the appropriators came to a conclusion, that would stick, and that we wouldn't have any unelected bureaucrats who were saying, no, money's going here, money's going there, everywhere, except for where it was appropriated. We had consensus about that. Not a few days later, on the table, bang. This is the Republican continuing resolution, and therefore that's what it is. In the meantime, yes, staff in both the House and the Senate have worked on those three bills, and I would just say they have made progress on the bills. But the issue now is coming to the table to be able to deal with the continuing resolution and the issues that have been central to that, which is cutting the costs and canceling the cuts and saving America's health care. Now, you may want to ask, what does that have to do with the bill? Well, the continuing resolution is 91 pages. 67 of those pages are about health care and so forth. So it is the appropriate conversation, and given that those notices are going out now, that we need to deal with it now. So we are waiting for them to come to the table to reopen the government, and honestly, if we can get my three other colleagues, we would move on appropriations bills. But they have refused to come to the table since the outset of this debate.
Yeah, Donald Trump and Republicans have taken a my way or the highway approach from the very beginning of this Congress. And we've maintained, led by Rosa DeLauro, that we want to sit down and negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement, now reopen the government, but at the same period of time address the Republican health care crisis, which has been devastating on everyday Americans and hardworking American taxpayers throughout this year, including the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health centers closing because of Republican policies and their one big ugly bill throughout America, including in rural parts of the country. The American people now confront the possibility of a $536 billion cut to Medicare because of what Republicans did in their one big ugly bill if Congress doesn't act by the end of this year, and now because Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Tens of millions of Americans right now are receiving notices as we approach open enrollment on November 1st, indicating to them that their premiums are going to skyrocket in ways that will make it unaffordable for them to see a doctor when they need to see one, when their children needs to see one, when their family members need to see one. This is a health care crisis that Republicans have visited on the American people, and it has to be dealt with decisively. We're now heading into a SNAP crisis. As Angie Craig and Rosa DeLauro have so powerfully articulated, that is a man-made Republican crisis because Donald Trump has decided that he wants to force millions of Americans, including possibly 16 million children, to experience hunger so they could continue their my way or the highway approach toward driving their right-wing extreme agenda down the throats of the American people. Unacceptable.
Mr. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Today is the first day air traffic controllers will go without a paycheck. You're speaking about SNAP right now. We also have questions around how troops are going to get paid. At the crux of your fight against the Republican bill is the ACA, is healthcare. Are you concerned that these other issues, these other pressing issues like SNAP, the air traffic controllers not getting paid, troops not getting paid, are you concerned that that will start to dominate the conversation or dominate the consciousness of America, that the ACA conversation kind of gets pushed to the wayside?
Well, we've made clear from the very beginning that we want to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people, that improves their quality of life, that drives